please repeat after me the prayer for world peace. O Lord, may your hand lead us.
O Lord, may your hand lead us.
From the unreal to the real.
From the unreal to the real.
From darkness to light.
From darkness to light.
From death to immortality.
From death to immortality.
May all be happy.
May all be happy.
May all be peaceful.
May all be peaceful.
May all be enlightened and cultured.
May all be enlightened and cultured.
May all attain perfection.
May all attain perfection.
May peace be established in the three bodies of man.
May peace be established in the three bodies of man.
May peace be established in the three worlds.
May peace be established in the three worlds.
May peace be established everywhere.
May peace be established everywhere.
May truth be our religion.
May truth be our religion.
May service be our worship.
May service be our worship.
May knowledge be our breath.
May knowledge be our breath.
May world be our family.
May world be our family.
May yoga and meditation be our work.
May yoga and meditation be our work.
May our eyes see happy and noble things.
May our eyes see happy and noble things.
May our ears hear happy and truthful words.
May our ears hear happy and truthful words.
May our tongues be sweet and truthful.
May our tongues be sweet and truthful.
May our bodies be divine instruments.
May our bodies be divine instruments.
May noble thoughts come to us from all corners of the universe.
May noble thoughts come to us from all corners of the universe.
May we never leave God.
May we never leave God.
May God never leave us.
May God never leave us.
Om peace and love.
Om peace and love.
Om peace and health.
Om peace and health.
Om peace and enlightenment.
Om peace and enlightenment.
So, as you saw last week, I started more on the hatha part of. Today I'm going to talk about mudras. And that is a preliminary to the next, which will be the Kundalini Shakti. Because without mudras, that will not work. Okay, so we're talking about mudras. Everything is sequential, so we know what needs to be done for individuals. Mudra, the term itself, has many meanings. Usually we associate mudra with hands, right? But, however, there are eye positions, there are body postures, there are breathing techniques, bandhas, they're all called mudras. Okay? Now, mudras are here actually to awaken your kundalini or your dormant energy within you. And of course, those are called the chakras, all right? They have two functions, either physical or mental. And they're both they control, mudras control our involuntary organs connected to the nerves. According to yoga, they say we have 72,000 nadis. Nadis are referred to as nerve. The word nadi itself means to flow. These are nerves that are flowing through the body, and energy is flowing through the body. But what kind of energy is that? That energy is our consciousness, our conscious energy, prana, ki, adamantine particles, whatever you wish to call it. But that's what flows through the nadis. If there is obstruction, then we cannot, we have problems in the physical body, we have problems in the mental body. All right. So mudras are very, very important. And according to yoga, the body is actually lifeless. It's usually, next week we will have the chakras up on the wall, but it's usually lifeless. And it's called Shiva, dead. And in order for it, Shakti, energy, gives that lifeless body consciousness. And we call that Shakti. Shakti and Shiva and Shakti. And so yoga asanas itself give us control over the body. Mudras control over the involuntary muscles and the nervous system. So they're very, very important. Mudras engage a certain part of the brain and our higher levels of the soul, and therefore effectively influence our body and mind. And you'll see later that the mind is more involved in controlling the body or not, okay? We can associate mudras more or less with the seal of consciousness. In our book of translation by Ma Yoga Shakti about Garant Samhita, which is about a 15th, 16th century sage that talked about Hatha Yoga, he considers mudras, bandhas, all in one. Okay? And so this is a perfect book for that. It has 21, but there are 21 bandhas, mudras that he calls, but there are actually more than 25 in other literature of India. And so I like to read you what Mataji, my guru, Ma Yoga Shakti, has to say about mudras. Mudras are beneficial for physical and spiritual growth. They bestow siddhis. Siddhis are psychic powers. Many physical ailments caused by either organic or functional disorders can be helped by the practice of mudras. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Therefore, if people were to practice yogic kriyas, they would maintain good physical and mental health. Thinking patterns of future generations would improve, and there would be fewer problems on earth. So practice your mudras. You will not only help yourself, you will help Mother Earth. Because remember, whatever we practice, we give to our new generation. We talk about cellular memory, right, when we practice. When we teach yoga asanas to teachers, we say, you have to come to the point where your asana is cellular memory. Okay. Well, we'll come into that, why that happens, all right? The brain plus the ability, here is, it's right under here. There is what we call the sensory homunculus. It's a map along the cerebral cortex, which is part of our body process. And the sensations occur along the body of those impulses will be sent to the spinal cord back to the brain processed. The brain maps each sensory receptor on the cortex, and more receptors there are on the skin, the larger the area on the surface on the corsets, and the larger is part of the homunculus man. So here's the grotesque homunculus man. Whatever is larger has more effect upon your brain. You have the hands, you have the lips, and all of that. And so it has, the more we use a part of our body, the bigger area it becomes. In other words, it goes over into the sensory cortex, hence it begins to enlarge the sensory part. The brain's plasticity, or the adaptiveness of our brain, will then be able to transmit that back to the muscles and the joints. We don't really, when we are practicing over and over, it is not that we're developing muscles, we're actually asking the brain to bring the energy into the muscle. Isn't that interesting? So you always think it's the body. No, it's actually the brain. And because we're doing something over and over, then the brain will make the body do it. And this has been studied a great deal with especially divers. It started with competitive diving. And the person that practices the dive in the brain is more effective than the person that practices it in actuality. And they have taken that over to other things. With other words, the brain is the one that controls your physical body. And so mudras control the brain, which then in turn turn it over to the body. It's a simple little process. Not so simple. Okay. So, oversized hands, fingers, lips, tongues, and genitals. Those are the things we use the most. So they are oversized. And we can use any of those, especially in hand mudras, because we have such a large area. It's the biggest part of the cerebral cortex. All right. But I like to start today with Shambhavi Mudra. I have taught you Shambhavi Mudra many times. And Shambhavi Mudra, you can sit right over there.
No, she's afraid of the cat. That's all right.
She's what?
No, she's worried about the cat, but the cat's... so it's all right.
Shambhavi Mudra is bringing your eyes gently to this point. Do it. Just focus your eyes very gently to this point. Now, that was for less than a minute. Did your body move? No. Did your brain move? Just like that. It's just fixing the eyes. Isn't that interesting? By one little movement of the eye, we have changed the physiology and the mental outlook for that 1 minute. Okay. There are other ones that are much more difficult to practice. There are the bandhas, there's the Mahamudra. Those are usually locks, because mudras take energy and they lock it into a definite pattern in your physical body. In my personal opinion, every asana, if practiced in alignment, has a mudra and an effect upon the body in some form or another. The same way, hand mudras. Now, I have studied hand mudras many times. This is by far the best book available. If you ever want a book on hand mudras, this is the one. Okay. And we're most familiar with hand mudras because hands are constantly in use, so they have the largest effect upon the physical body. Now, hand mudras cannot just be done a little bit like here. We do Gyan Mudra when we sit in meditation, right? We put the index finger and the thumb together and let the rest of the body relax. And that increases your concentration. So in meditation, we sit like this, hopefully. Okay. There is no pressing of the fingers. Fingers are slightly touching. They're all right. According to Gertrude Hirsch, whose this book is by, mudras, many of them need to be practiced like 45 minutes. It's not something that you just do 1, 2, 3 and get it done. And I want to give you just a couple of ideas of what could possibly be done according to the hand mudras, which are really the easiest ones to practice. So, so the 45 minutes, what she talks about, are really divided into 3 times during the day. But they will not have effectiveness. The same thing is with Garant. Garant, when he talks about postures and says that they will cure this and they will help, which it is the truth, it doesn't mean you practice it like we practice Hatha Yoga. We practice that asana and we practice that asana and we practice that asana over and over for hours. And we do it for at least 2 hours, 3 hours a day. None of us do that. So when he says it will cure this or it will cure that, you look at it and you go, no, it won't. And then now we have somebody in India that is practicing all this and say it will cure because he goes by a Quran, and people are stopping to go to the doctor, and they're doing it a couple of minutes here and there, and it's not effective. The effectiveness comes of mudras, yoga mudras, is when your body gets into hatha yoga, and from hatha yoga you step up into mudra yoga. Okay, and you're doing the mudras. Same thing with the hand positions. Many times we do hatha yoga and we use mudras within the hands. Mudras are used in the hands for religious purposes also. If you ever watch a priest during the Mass, he has many hand mudras that he's using because he's trying to get energy flowing into the hands and into the congregation. And mudras are used. And then you see people using the mudra towards another individual. So these are very, very powerful. We are very powerful if we are really utilizing the things that we have. In order to do that, though, when we are practicing mudra, we also have to control the mind at the same time. You can't be practicing the mudra and be thinking 100 things that you have to do. All right? So, and this is the wonderful part about this particular book with Kat. She usually gives you a little mantra or affirmation to say at the same time. So this is a wonderful book. For example, I'll just give you a couple of examples. Pran Mudra. With each hand, just do it. This is simple. Pinky finger and ring finger on the thumb, and extend these two. Okay? And they be extended. As needed, use for 5 to 30 minutes, or as a cause of treatment, do 3 times a day for 15 minutes. Activates the root chakra. Okay. Huh?
I was going to say, do you have to be concentrating when you're doing this, right? You can't be.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
You have to be concentrated. So her affirmation would be, I have a healthy appetite for small, large adventure in life. I digest the challenges with great pleasure and joy. I don't know. It activates your root chakra. When we start thinking about Kundalini yoga and so forth, we begin to understand what aspects of each chakra has on the physical body and on our mental body and our psychological body. But these are just things. And then it's very important. Pran Mudra, you can also put your, has an effect of causing both right and left brain hemisphere to function equally and become active as well, which is absolute necessary when you want the Kundalini or the prana to flow in both Ida and Pingala, which is the left and right part of your Kundalini chakra, and Sushumna is in the middle. So this, if you're trying to start the Mool Mudra, or the base of the spine, which is the seat of your all of your highest or energy field, it's basically there and dormant, it will activate both nadis. Okay? So this is a very good part to do and very easy to hold. You can hold this, it's not a problem. All right. So that's one mudra. Another one it's called shunya. Shunya usually means, silence. But, okay. So you bend the middle finger, and touch the ball of your thumb and lightly press down on the middle finger with your thumb. Use it 3 times a day for 15 minutes against ear and hearing problems. Now, Narayani is going to insist that I keep doing this. Because I refuse to wear my hearing aids. Okay. And it doesn't only work for anatomical hearing problem, but those that don't want to hear. Okay. And then we have to go back to what each finger represents as well. So when we're doing this, I mean, if you really want to study the mudras, you will have to get this book. This is, of all the books I have had, this is the best. And that's the sky mudra. The middle finger is the sky. Okay? It's a gateway to higher dimensions, which you need in the ear first. Here is a wonderful one. Varuna Mudra. Varuna is the god of the oceans. Okay. Bend the little finger on your right hand until the tip touches the ball of your right thumb. Place the thumb of your left hand on it with your left thumb, okay? And you encircle the right hand. Varuna Mudra should always be done when too much mucus or secretion collects in the stomach or lungs. Congestion can settle in the frontal sinuses. And this is what I need right now, so that's why I'm teaching it to you, because you might need it. But again, unless you sit with something like this for 15 minutes, 3 times a day, it's not going to have an effect, and it's not going to have an effect the first day. Okay? So this is very simple to do. You just hold your hand like this, and then you can't be scrolling down the keyboard and your... Okay. You all know about Gyan Mudra. I think one of the most important mudras, in my personal opinion, is Gyan Mudra. Now, some people do it like this, but when you do it like this, and you will see it illustrated like this, it doesn't work. Why? Because too much of your attention is on the mudra. You slightly put the finger underneath the thumb so that the thumb is holding it and you don't have to do anything. Do it. And you see the difference between holding it, you are active, and slightly putting it under the thumb, you become inactive. Inactive, you want the mudra to not be the source of your input, you want your meditation. Or any time you would like your mind quiet. Now imagine you're sitting like this in a meditative pose, and now do Shambhavi Mudra. And once you do Shambhavi Mudra with your eyes open, gently begin to close them slowly. And then you're ready for meditation. Isn't that wonderful?
May I ask a question about this mudra? Correct me if I'm wrong. When we also do it this way, the way you described, index finger in and thumb over, isn't that also a way to, for a lack of a better word, appease the ego? In other words, to bring our ego down?
The question is, does that bring the ego down? I don't know, but in meditation you're not working with the ego. And don't forget, you're not bringing the thumb over the finger. You're bringing this very gently. There's a difference between this mudra and this.
Okay. Only because we use this to point.
Thank you.
So.
All right. There is also, I don't know exactly the name, you will see a lot of speakers do this. This increases your concentration and increases your, and you automatically do it. You don't even have to be told. You sometimes just do this and because you've got to concentrate on something. So mudras are very, very effective. I think everyone should practice mudras. If you want to know, the more familiar with hand mudras, the more you use it, and the more is, and the large part of your brain that is associated with it, the area in the cortex will become. The hands are constantly used. So the most effective of the mudras are really the hand mudras because they really use the largest part of your brain. All right? But I tend to prefer, I also like the mudras we do in yoga, but they have to be, except for Shambhavi mudra, those have to be done when your physical body is already in a certain purified state. And there can be, know this, because it is in order for anyone to reach any spiritual heights of any sort, the need to have your body, your mind be able to process conscious energy and bring it into the body is an absolute necessity. Yeah. Kundalini yoga is absolutely a necessity because this is your dormant energy and it needs to be activated. How we activate it is up to you. But the body, in a certain amount of the body, has to be purified in order to activate. And this energy is your seed energy, and it is your birthright to have the best quality of life, physically, mentally, and emotionally, but we have to work through a lot. And therefore we use mudras in order to facilitate this movement. And it's very important. Mudras are very, very important. In our Hatha Yoga class, which is an hour to an hour and a half, we don't practice too many mudras, except I always practice the Shambhavi mudra. And then we do Pashini mudra because that's interesting for you to try. And there are many other mudras that we actually practice, but we call them asanas. But they are practiced. And half of the population is in a mudra when they're in shoulder stand, rather than in real shoulder stand. And I don't complain about it because it's a mudra. So there are things that are mudras that change the body, change the mind, change the psychology, changes your outlook, changes everything. So practicing mudras is very important. And next week we will start on Kundalini Yoga. And with that, I will end our discourse. A half an hour goes by very fast. I thought I could do more mudras. But I want to, Yoga Syzygy, very important, by my Yoga Shakti, Garant Samhita. It's a very, very, and we went through that in our satsang last time. And this book by Gertrude Hirsch on the mudras. If you are interested in mudras, these are the two recommendations that I give. All right. Syzygy we have for sale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om